and welcome to On Deck with DeRo Arch. I am Eric DeRosset. Alongside of me is Darren Archer, and we do a little podcast show here. Try to do it weekly if we can, just to feature some sports that's going on nationally, within our state, and even locally. Darren, good to see you. Spring break for both of us. And it's starting to feel like spring today. So it's a good feeling to have a few days off.
Absolutely. I always look forward to spring break, change of seasons. It means baseball is right around the corner, and you know how I love MLB baseball.
For sure. Speaking with or staying with the baseball theme there, I'm going to touch on the World Baseball Classic just to start with. First of all, uh, great matchups, really good baseball to watch. The fans, they bring it, and the energy is really really good. I think the Baseball Classic is here to stay, and I think it's legit.
Yeah.
One of the things I was sort of struck by, and uh, and I'm going to sort of bounce this off of you to start with. Initially, the countries were put into pools, um, four different pools, I believe. And I'm just going to throw some numbers at you, not to overwhelm you, but just to give you somewhere to start with. In Pool A, Canada and Puerto Rico both went 3-1 prior to the to the playoff type system. Italy, the U.S. or Italy was 4-0 in their pool, and the U.S. was in the same pool, and they were 3-1. In Pool C, Japan was 4-0, and in Pool D, the Dominican Republic was 4-0, and Venezuela was 3-1. Where I'm going with that, and I'll just use Italy as an example. They were in the same pool with the U.S. and actually finished the pool play higher than the U.S. But during the course of the classic, Italy beat Puerto Rico, the U.S., and Mexico. Now, the question that I'm kind of coming to here is there starting to become more parity across the board in baseball? I think you and I would say we can count on Japan always being good. You can count on the Dominican Republic always faring quite well, um, and the U.S. But now we're starting to hear names like Venezuela and Italy, and so is the bar sort of raising and the parity starting to take place? How do you see baseball on the world's landscape?
Yeah, it this was really an interesting tournament. First of all, the hype around it, and rightfully so, was unlike anything I've seen.
Yeah.
Um, there were a lot of people paying attention to the WBC this year, which is great for baseball.
Absolutely.
Um, I do think there's a lot of parity. And ever since the tournament has been held, there's only four teams that have actually won the tournament, and that's Japan, Dominican Republic, the United States, and then obviously Venezuela. So, from that standpoint, I think you're seeing the same customers, so to speak. Um, one thing that I was really impressed with was the Dominican roster, the lineup that they had.
Yeah. Yeah.
My gosh. I mean,
Yeah.
you talk about a lineup that they could throw out on the field offensively and defensively was just unreal.
Yeah.
You could almost say the same for Japan.
Agreed.
And I think, if we're being honest with ourselves, those two were probably the favorites to get to the championship game. Obviously, depending on path to get there and who you were going to have to play to get there. But pool play kind of mixed things up a little bit and gave us some matchups that we thought we might see in the
Yeah.
championship game, or even the Final Four type semifinals.
Right.
Um, didn't happen that way, and I think that does show some parity. Italy got hot. They put together a string of some very good games and were very patient at the plate and made pitchers work and ran the counts deep. And I think that's important in that type of play with the pitch limits that they have.
Right.
For pitchers, it's important to if somebody has a good player on the pitcher on the mound, you want to run that pitch count up as quick as you can to be able to have to get to that bullpen and make the managers mix and match pieces with who they're going to face in your lineup. So I don't know that I answered your question, but yes, I do think there's a lot of parity in baseball. I think baseball's in a very good place right now. I know a lot of people are disappointed with the United States with the lineup that they had, especially offensively. But you take a look at some of the players that did not play,
Yeah.
especially from a pitching standpoint. And I understand that, you know, uh, the a lot of people were on DeRosa, but he at best he's a circus juggler. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? He's got to visit with these baseball teams on a daily basis to see if it's okay, what the pitch limit is for to be able to use a pitcher, and are they even going to be able to go at all? So that's a tough task. Um, you know, uh, the final four teams. Actually, there were five teams in that tournament that legitimately had a chance to win that thing: Japan, United States, Venezuela, Dominican, and obviously Italy, with as hot as they were playing. So it was just a fun tournament to watch. Not surprised by any of the results. Maybe a little surprised the Dominican did not get there in the championship game. Um, I think a lot of people thought that U.S. Dominican game was,
Mhm.
going to be the championship, and it didn't turn out that way.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, and you're right. There's a lot of coaching slash manager jobs that you don't want in this world. That manager job is definitely one of them. Would
Correct.
not would not want to do that. So yeah, it was interesting. Again, I think it's a win for baseball as a whole. Incredible energy from those fan bases from other countries. Just really really exciting. So, in my opinion, a win for baseball on the whole, and look forward to more of it down the road. Going to switch gears to basketball here. I'm going to touch on real quickly on high school, and then I'm going to hit a Division two note, and then we're going to dive into NCAA March Madness coverage here, and we'll spend the bulk of our show discussing that. On the local level, state of Missouri, the class one through three teams have completed their state runs, and classes four and bigger are competing this week and weekend. Did want to give a little shout out to the Stratford Lady Indians. I was a part of that program last year, and they got a big win today, and they are headed to the state championship game. So congratulations to the Lady Indians from Stratford. At the Division two level, an interesting note, and we probably should have been more in tune with this particular player that I'm going to mention to you here, but from Central Missouri State men's basketball, uh, there's a player by the last name of Houston, and he's a true freshman, and he was the MIAA Player of the Year, obviously along with Freshman of the Year. And according to his agent, he has entered the transfer portal. Um, Houston is from Lincoln Northeast High School out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Uh, I'm just going to start with this. If you're a true freshman and you are the MIAA Player of the Year, you have a little game.
You've got a lot of game. We've
Yeah,
you and I have seen that league up close and personal, and
yeah,
there are some bad boys that play in that conference, and it's basically on a lot of levels a D1 conference, a lower level D1 conference, if you really
right.
want to, be realistic about it. But have a freshman come in and um, get the MIAA Player of the Year. That's quite a tall task. There's a lot of great players. I mean, you had the number one ranked team in the nation in that
Yeah,
conference with Washburn, and wow, that's very impressive. And I think it shows the climate that we're in. He goes there as a freshman, and he's automatically in the portal. I'm sure he's going to try to get picked up by a D1 at some level
Right.
and try to get a payday.
And here's an interesting thing about him, and hey, his game his game speaks for itself apparently. But according to his bio on the Central Missouri State website, he is 6 foot tall and 155 pounds. So, it's not like he's a 6'11" skilled big man. He's doing it at a size and weight that just doesn't lead to success much. I think the question that kind of crossed my mind was, is he able to sort of leverage a Division II team for a maybe the biggest payday there is at the Division II level? Is he better off to do that, or is a Division I offer that's probably lesser in terms of D1 offers? How do those things compare? How does a really, really good D2 transfer portal offer compare to an average, let's say, Division I transfer portal offer?
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Yeah,
At the D2 level, there are a few schools, excuse me, that I know have an NIL program.
yeah,
I'm sure the money's minimal, um, but it's money nonetheless, which a lot of schools at the D2 level are not going to offer.
right.
Um, I do know at the mid-major and smaller Division I levels, there are some opportunities to make some money. Obviously, not like what kids are making at the high major D1 markets, but with advertising and um, you know promotions and things like that, uh, I would say he's probably going to try to catch on. And the thing of it is, if he catches on with a D1 at a D1, say a mid-major or lower, he catches on and does the same thing next year, he can make that same
Yeah,
jump to get more money that way. So, hey, good
right.
for him. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? I mean, you've got to strike while the iron's hot. And um, eh, I personally have not seen the kid play, but he must be very, very talented to
He must
be
be.
player of the year in the MIAA as a freshman.
And and we're not in tune with everything across the board, but we hear a lot of things and read a lot of things, and it's just interesting that it took until March for me to hear about him, and same for you, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what his NIL move will be. I think that'll be essentially, you're talking about, let's just say he's probably one of the top 5 Division II players in the nation. If he's a player of the year in the MIAA, he's probably top 5 in the nation. So it will be interesting to see how that translates in terms of a paycheck going forward. So good luck to him, and you're right. I mean, awesome for him, and he needs to go do it while it's available. He'd be a fool not to. So be
Right.
interesting to watch that. And congratulations to him and Central Missouri State. I'm going to switch gears to March Madness. It is here. Another thing that I typically like about spring break is it usually coincides with the first weekend of college basketball's March Madness. So, and that's how calendar played out this year. The number one seeds are Duke, Florida, Arizona, and Michigan, which is a formidable group of number ones. Probably the next one would have been UConn if maybe Florida didn't make it. By all accounts, UConn would have been the next number one. Final four this year will be played in Indianapolis. I'm going to start with the Missouri teams. We have two Missouri teams in the dance this year. St. Louis University, who had an outstanding season, they will play number 8 Georgia, and then the winner of that game likely gets Michigan. Uh, the other Missouri team represented is the University of Missouri Tigers. They are a 10 seed, and they will play number 7 Miami. Winner gets likely Purdue. So give me a little snapshot of how you see St. Louis and Missouri. And then just so you know, I've got to hold them or fold them later in the show that regards those two teams. So we'll get to that here in a minute. But just generally thoughts about St. Louis and University of Missouri.
Yeah, I'll start off with Mizzou. I feel like they got a great draw.
I agree.
They're going to play their game in St. Louis,
Yeah.
so it's basically a home game for Mizzou. A couple hours up the road, and you're
Yeah.
there. I think the following will be huge with it being that close to Columbia. And I think there's going to be a distinct home court advantage for Mizzou against Miami. Now, Miami is very good. Um, they've had they've done a great job in getting that program turned around quickly, and to be a 7th seed when last year I don't even know if they won 10 games. So uh, they're very talented, very athletic, typical what you think of Miami basketball being.
Right.
And we're talking Miami of Florida, not Miami of Ohio.
Yeah,
But
that's another topic.
right. But I kind of like Mizzou's chances. Um, Now, obviously, they would probably play Purdue in the second round. Purdue's probably playing as well as anybody in the nation right now. They beat Michigan in the Big Ten tournament by 11 in the championship games, so they've kind of got things rolling there. And Purdue was the number 1 ranked team preseason to start the year, and it kind of feels like they're finally finding their mojo a little bit, playing with a lot of confidence. As far as St. Louis, they have a tough matchup with Georgia. Georgia is one of the tougher. Uh, they average a lot of points. They can score the ball a lot. They're going to pose some problems matchup wise, as far as uh, inside with some really good athletes around the basket. Georgia obviously likes to get it out and go. St. Louis can do that as well. So it'll be an interesting matchup. Um, we get to see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
That is right.
back in the NCAA tournaments. I know he was he became the poster boy a couple of years ago when he was playing for Indiana State, and obviously followed coach over to St. Louis. So looking forward to watching both our home state teams play, and they should have great matchups.
Oh, yeah, I agree totally. At one point, this was probably, I'm just guessing here, probably 4 weeks ago or so, St. Louis actually led the nation, Division One, in 3-point field goal percentage, and they also led the nation in uh, 3-point percentage allowed. They had given up the fewest number of threes to anybody in the nation. So I think
Wow.
that's since changed, but pretty impressive stat
Absolutely.
that they made the 3-point shot an emphasis both offensively and defensively. So uh, you and I both know that things are trends in sports, so it'll be interesting to see if people start to follow that trend. Hey, we're going to shoot it really well, and we're going to defend it really well, and we're going to take our chances with twos. So, just something I had noticed and thought about. Potential matchups that I sort of like. I'm going to throw about 4 of these your way, um, and just see what you think. Obviously, this is barring you know, some unexpected upsets and those kind of things. A potential second round game that I really like is St. John's versus Kansas. I think that's got the recipe for a good one. Another one I like for a completely different reason, potential second round matchup, Vanderbilt versus Nebraska. So two teams that really are inexperienced when it comes to March Madness could likely match up against each other in the second round. Another second round matchup that I like is Gonzaga and BYU. And then another one is Wisconsin and Arkansas. That would also come in the second round. And the reason I like the Wisconsin Arkansas one is Wisconsin is fundamental. They just do things really, really well. They execute both sides of the ball. And Arkansas is just super athletic. Their bigs can do it all. Their guards are tremendous one-on-one players. So that matchup's intriguing just because of the contrast in styles. So any of those matchups that I threw your way, do they intrigue you or have any input on those?
Yeah, BYU is going to have to get through Texas first.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I think a lot of people are sleeping on Texas, and we were talking about this uh, before we started recording. The game between North Carolina State and Texas kind of felt like a second round matchup
Yeah.
where teams had won the first round, advanced in, and had to play each other. So I know Texas have got are going to have some matchup problems with Abinatsa, or however you say his name.
Yeah.
That kid can flat out play.
Can play.
Yes, he can. But I kind of like the makeup of Texas's team. When they play defense, they're pretty dang good. They can turn you over. They control the boards, and they can score bunches.
Yep.
They can play slow down ball. So that's going
Yeah.
to be important this time of year.
I think this time of year, I always sort of lean to a team that has a skilled big man, a
Yes.
true sort of back to the basket guy that can catch and turn
Yep.
and score and drop step and those kind of things. And Texas has that.
Yes.
I think that oftentimes separates, a team when they struggle to shoot it or can't drive it the way they're used to driving. If they've got a big man they can throw it to, it sure helps this time of year. So
Yeah.
I agree with you on BYU. While I really, really like them, and I think they would have a shot at Gonzaga if they can get there. But that Texas matchup is a tough one. That might be one of the tougher opening round games or more balanced opening round games that we'll see. I think
You know,
both of those.
you mentioned Kansas and St. John's potentially matching up in the second round as 4-5 seed.
Yeah,
Both teams have to feel jilted by the committee with St. John's
agree.
being a 5 seed. I
Yeah,
mean, you win the you win the Big East tournament going away,
yeah,
and you're rewarded with a 5 seed looking at Kansas in the second round game potentially. So
yeah.
I think St. John's was way underseeded. I think they are the type of team that if they get hot, they could make a deep, deep run, possibly get to Indianapolis
Yeah.
if things are going right for them.
Well, and what the committee is essentially saying is that they feel like St. John's falls somewhere between 15 and 20 of the best teams in the nation.
Right.
And I think St. John's may have something to say about that before that's over, and maybe not. But for them to be possibly 20th strongest team in the nation,
Yeah.
and they got to feel like you say a little jilted by that. So
Right.
great matchups all the way around there. I just put a couple of things together here on teams that might have an early exit. Some of the higher ranked teams that might have an early exit. I see potentially Gonzaga, and we've already hit on this, but
Hmm.
either a matchup with BYU or a matchup with Texas. Um, I see that as a potential for Gonzaga to possibly get beat. Their history hasn't been great lately in the tournament, so I think they're always a suspect to maybe get upset. Another one that I think could get beat is three seed Virginia, and maybe I just don't know enough about them. But they could play Tennessee in the second round, and I'm a big fan of Rick Barnes and the program that he has there. So I think that 3-6 game between Virginia and Tennessee, if it gets to that point, could be trouble for Virginia. Any comments there, or any others that you sort of think about that might have a chance to get beat earlier than they're projected to?
Um, I think there's a chance for some um, 5-12, 6-11 type
Yeah,
matchups for potential um, upsets.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting to kind of keep an eye on. We talked about Texas BYU. Um, don't sleep on Akron.
Hmm.
They are sneaky good. They play Texas Tech in the first round. That's another 5-12 matchup that could um, go in favor of Akron just with the Tobin kid being out,
Right. Yeah.
obviously for the season. That's a big hit. But Texas Tech has seemed to kind of keep on keeping on even without
Yeah.
him. But that's going to be an interesting matchup. But that just like every other year, that 5-12, 6-11 matchup game
Yeah.
um, always bring out some interesting basketball. Must see TV.
For sure. For sure. One of the things that, and I sort of hit on this earlier, but I'm coming back to it now. This is a conversation that we would not have had at the beginning of this season. There is a above average chance that either Vanderbilt or Nebraska reaches the third round. If we'd have had that conversation earlier in the year, nobody would have believed that. But those teams have played well, and the fact that they could end up playing each other in the second round gives them a shot to move to the third round. But
Well,
that's
and Dero, I think that that kind of goes back to the discussion that we had during football season. You know, the NIL and the transfer portal has completely changed the face of, I think, athletics across the board in the NCAA tournament. And, um, you know, I'm kind of split down the middle. I'm happy for the kids that are getting paid. That's great. They
yeah,
deserve their slice of the pie because they're the ones drawing in the money. Um, but it just seems like the wild, wild west. And we've beaten that horse to death. And um, I don't know that there's a great solution out there until they start corralling these coaches um, and put some limitations on what universities can do as
yeah.
far as NIL and limit these kids on how many times they can transfer.
Well, and and we've hit this a million times too, but due to all the pending legal things that are going on now, there's not going to be an answer to that for, in my opinion, years down the
Right.
road. I mean, I can't see any, I can't see anything in place by 2030, even
Yeah.
in terms of sort of how do we police this. I think those legal things are going to be tied up, and they're going to bounce around in the legal system for 3 and 4 years, maybe five, and so it
Yeah.
might be 20, 2030, 2031 before we sort of get some direction there. So
Dero, this past weekend, I spent a lot of time in front of the TV, and in three separate conference tournaments, there were fifth-year players that were on their fifth school in 5 years of playing.
crazy.
Three separate tournaments. I heard them talk about that. So, um, I think it's just a sign of the times and
Yep.
kind of what we're dealing with right now.
Kind of more of the norm than it's not probably at this point. So,
Exactly. That's exactly right.
so anyway, great matchups there. The whole tournament will be great. It's tempting not to get in the car and drive to St. Louis and watch Mizzou play. And another reason I like Mizzou's chances is it's an evening game. It's basically an 8:15 Central start time.
Right.
So yes, Mizzou fans would have traveled well anyway, but
Right.
I think the crowd could be even bigger of Mizzou fans just because of the time that the game's being played out.
I I was going to drive to St. Louis and watch some of the games
Yeah.
till I started checking ticket prices.
Changed your mind, huh?
Yeah, my recliner looks awfully good right now.
For
A
sure.
lot
And it's
cheaper.
paid for.
It is paid for. Yes, correct.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, we are nearing the end of our show, and I'm going to head to our hold 'em and fold 'em sequence. Again, I say this every week, but this is the point in the show where I give Coach Archer a few scenarios, and he has to decide whether he's going to hold the scenario or whether he's going to fold. And all of these revolve around the March Madness that we're getting ready to start with. We're recording this on a Wednesday. The games will start tomorrow morning. So the first hold 'em and fold 'em for you. Um, after Friday, after Friday's games, which means it's the end of the first round, the two Missouri teams that are in the tournament will still be alive. Are you going to hold them or fold them? Missouri has Miami. St. Louis has Georgia.
I hate to say this, but I'm probably going to fold them.
Yeah.
I can't. I want to say that St. Louis has lost 5 of their last 8 or 9 games. And they've got an awfully tall task in Georgia. They've had a great season. I don't think anybody expected us to be talking about St. Louis U being the regular season champs and being nationally ranked throughout most of the year. But I think the road probably ends in the first round for them.
Yeah. Those are good thoughts. The second hold 'em or fold 'em is this: 3 or more of the 1 seeds will be in the Final Four. 3 or more 1 seeds will make it to the Final Four. You going to hold it or fold it?
I think I'm going to hold that one.
Yeah.
I legitimately think there's probably 6 or 7 schools that are just at this level compared to everybody else and have the dudes to be able to go win a national championship and win 6 games in a row to finish off your season.
Yeah.
Arizona's has proven to be very, very good against some of the best competition that you can play throughout the nation. Michigan, up until recently, seemed like the odds-on favorite to be able to win the national championship. Duke has got a few issues. That's a team that I can see maybe being bounced in the Elite Eight, just from the standpoint that they've got 2 very important pieces missing due to injuries. So, and then of course, on that other bottom half, Florida being the number 1 seed, they got smacked in the face by Vandy, a team we've talked about in the SEC tournament. But I think that may be the wake up call that they need to be able to get to Indianapolis.
You mentioned Duke, and hey, I watched them play North Carolina State late in the season, maybe the last week or last 10 days. And don't get me wrong, Duke smoked North Carolina State. However, I watched NC State play a little 2-3 matchup against them, and I just wondered, it slowed Duke down a little bit. They weren't getting transition. They were a little off balance for a while, and I don't think North Carolina State was doing a great job of the matchup necessarily, but it just got me to wondering if somebody might play a little matchup and try to eliminate some transition buckets from them and force them to hit some outside shots and go with it like that. Especially when you're missing players, it seems like, and this is just me, but it seems like your man stuff kind of still seems to take care of itself. Still have that same rhythm when you're running your man stuff, but if you're missing a couple pieces and now somebody's playing you zone, feels like that could be a problem for Duke. So, and hey, I'm not a college coach, so that's I may be as wrong as I'll get out, but it just made me wonder if somebody somewhere that's on Duke's side of the bracket is not right now working on a 2-3 matchup, thinking, "Hey, this may be our shot."
Absolutely, and desperate time call for desperate measures. We've both been in that position to where you've got to junk somebody up. Rick Majerus did it against Kentucky in the national championship game. Ran a triangle and 2 of all things, and darn near pulled it off. So I love those coaches that will take a chance and
Right.
junk somebody up on defense and kind of throw a curve ball and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just think Duke, they sort of pride themselves or seem to really have success with their continuity stuff,
Yes.
that, and so when you start taking a piece or two out of that, then that continuity might get shaken a little bit. So, just food for thought. The last hold'em and fold'em I have for you is, and I'll try to word this succinctly. Um, the biggest upset in the first round of the NCAA tournament will involve a 3 seed or higher. So let me back that up. What this hold'em and fold'em is saying is a team seeded 1, 2, or 3 in any region, one of those teams will get upset in the first round. Are you going to hold them or fold them?
Looking at the bracket, I've studied it a little bit. I'm going to go fold them on that. I think
Yeah,
everything holds chalk until about maybe the 5 seed.
yeah,
Um, I, I hope I'm proven wrong,
yeah.
but I just think those top 20 teams are pretty dang good, and those top 7 are exceptionally good.
Right.
So I don't think we'll see any upsets until the 5th seed or um, I guess lower. I think
Right.
there'll be a couple, like I said, 5-12 upsets, and I think there'll be a couple of 6-11 upsets.
Yeah. And it kind of feels like, as much as any time, that those typical 8-9 games, they can just go either way. And then that
Right.
8 or 9 is capable of really being a problem in the next round too,
Yeah.
depending on how it matches up. So, uh, anyway, March Madness is here, and looking forward to it. Like I say, we're recording this show on Wednesday, so it goes live tomorrow. Uh, in my bracket that I filled out today, that I'm doing with my son and my grandson, I have Arizona winning it all. Who do you have winning it all?
Arizona. They have
Arizona.
proven to be the most steady eddies throughout the year and have played one tough
Yeah.
schedule. So I'm right there with you.
And again, they have a really skilled big man, back to the basket big
Yes.
man, and I think when it gets tough sledding, I think you can always throw it to your big and
Yep.
count on a bucket or some free throws. So, and they definitely have a really, really good big man. So,
Agreed.
Darren, I think that's all I have for this time. Any parting thoughts you want to throw my way before we get off here?
Nope. Just looking forward to a great NCAA tournament. That means Major League Baseball
Yep.
opening day is less than 2 hands full of fingers away, and
Yep.
it's an exciting time of year for me. I love this time of year, and
Yep.
really looking forward to it.
Agree. My son and I were talking today that, I mean, between opening day of Major League Baseball and the NCAA tournament, man, the TV is going to be in full. It's going to be in full use for a
Yes.
while here. So, anyway, well, viewers, thanks for joining us. If you have any thoughts or even stories or noteworthy news, especially locally and in the state of Missouri, that you think deserves a mention, we'd love to get those stories out. So, please drop us a line. We are all of our social media contacts are there on your screen for you, and you can contact either one of us through those things. But Darren, for this week anyway, I think we're going to bring this to a close. Enjoy the rest of your spring break.
Thank you, sir. You do the same.
Will do. Viewers, thanks for joining us this week. You have been watching On Deck with DeRo Arch. For Darren Archer, I am Eric DeRosset, and we will see you next week.
This has been a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network. Thank you for tuning in.